So I recently looked at the Apollo Automation M1 LED panel, and along with that panel came this device here. So they sent me all of this stuff together in a single box. This is the R-PRO-1. This is a mmWave multisensor. It features the LD2450. It has an optional LD2412 add-on sensor. I'm going to dig into this real quick. We'll do a quick overview of it, take a look at it, see what's in there, and just talk about it. So let's get started. So let's go briefly over their documentation on what this actually is. This is the, as I mentioned, the R-PRO-1 PoE mmWave multisensor. It has the 2450 and 2412 like I talked about. The 2412 is an option. They call it their most advanced presence sensor, designed for power, precision, and reliability. It's compact, has high accuracy motion detection and environmental monitoring, and it supports 802.3 compliant PoE power and USB-C power. Has included Wi-Fi and Bluetooth connectivity, so your options are there to run it all kinds of different ways. Its small form factor combined with PoE makes it ideal for quick deployments in a wall or ceiling. They sent me the wall and the ceiling mount options. I'll show those to you here in just a second. But let's just dig into the device itself. I already kind of popped the cover off. As with all of their stuff here, this is 3D printed, and they have the plans, I believe, on their website where you can actually go out and print it yourself if you want a different case. So this is just the 3D printed case. I'm trying to get to focus here. 3D printed case for it. And then this just kind of pops out like so, just like all of their products. Everything just kind of pops out of this little case here. So there's the case for it, just a little 3D printed doohickey there. And then we also have the device itself. It's got the obviously the Ethernet port on there for PoE, and I believe just network connectivity as well. There's the USB-C power for it. On the back side, let me just take this off. This is the LD2450 that's on here already. So it comes with this LD2450. This is also an ESP device. So you that play with ESP32 or ESP home devices, you can do other stuff with this. It's the S3 Mini 1 that's powering this. And then, you know, these things come off, so you could actually pull this off if you wanted to. And then this is the optional LD2412 that they sent me as well. And this just plugs into the back of it, just like so. It only goes one way. So you have 4 pins on this side, 3 pins on that side, and it matches the connector. 4 pins here, 3 pins here. So let's just throw that on here. I honestly, I'm not sure what you would do with 2 different sensors on here. I haven't really played with it enough yet to figure that out. This is a quick overview on this. So there's the device itself. Got the little Apollo on there. Yeah, and so let's get into plugging it in and seeing what it does. One thing I do want to talk about real quick is in order for the device to connect, it has to be able to connect to the internet to switch between, if I can blow this up for you, switch between the different firmware files. If you're connecting to an IoT network or on a subnet or VLAN that cannot get to github.com, you cannot change the firmware on it. And I'll show you that here in just a second. So let's go ahead and plug it in. I'm going to plug it into Wi-Fi here real quick, or into power, USB-C power. We'll just plug it in. I don't get any indications, by the way. When I plug this in some of the other devices, you get a little LED or something. Here, I don't get anything. It's telling me it's powered. I'm assuming it is because I get a web page for it. Now, I've already gone through and I've already set it up to connect to my local Wi-Fi network. That's pretty standard. You plug it in, it creates a hotspot. You go to your device, find that Apollo hotspot, connect to it, go to 192.168.4.1 in your browser on your device. If it doesn't automatically go there for you, choose your Wi-Fi network, put your password in, boom, you're on. So that's pretty simple. That's pretty standard for pretty much every ESP device that is out there. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up the device, hopefully. And looking at that, we have the device itself is now running, and it's on my Wi-Fi network. You can see down here, if you have both the LD2412 and the 2450, you'll have a bunch of settings here for both of those things. And this is all the information and everything you can use to set this up. And then the log, of course, is going crazy. Now you have a firmware type here that chooses between Wi-Fi and Ethernet. If I change this to Ethernet, it's going to require me to plug into an Ethernet plug in order to get access. And I'll do that eventually. For now, I'm going to leave it Wi-Fi, and we're going to go over into Home Assistant, and we are going to see if it recognizes it like all of the other Apollo stuff that happens here. Let's just check and see if it shows up. Go to integrations, and it has found the Apollo R-PRO-1, just like every other device that we have in Home Assistant. So we'll add that here. And it asks me if I want to do that. Of course I do. And now it's created that. And if you go to ESP, it took me to automatically to ESP Home. I think that's a new feature in Home Assistant, as a matter of fact. When you add a new ESP device, I think it automatically adds you or puts you on the ESP homepage, which is what we're seeing here. So now I need to go find the R-PRO-1. I have a lot of stuff in here. And there it is right here. And now you can see that we have all the stuff. And if there's an RGB light here, so if I push that button and turn on RGB light, there it is. Turn it off again, it goes off. So you do have RGB lighting like you did with all of the other kind of sensors that Apollo has. All right, so here's your LD2412 stuff. Here's your LD2450. The 2450 can do up to 3 different targets. So you have target 1, target 2, target 3. Yeah, there it is, target 3. And what that means is you can do up to 3 different people in a room and have all these individual targets and angles and everything set up. You can even change the firmware type here from this window here. So if you want to go to Ethernet and be able to plug in the Ethernet, you could do that here as well. You have firmware update capability, and then a whole bunch of other information here in terms of settings. Now, getting these things just right takes a little bit of playing around. Once you set it in a room and you have it going, you need to spend a bit of time figuring out how you want to set up all the target zones and all of the things to make it work just right for you. I've done that for the MSR1 that I have. I think it's MSR2. I think it's MSR2, and I actually have an automation that turns on the lights in this room I'm in right now. Every time I walk into the room, keeps them on while I'm in the room because I'm moving just slightly, and it picks it up on that MSR2. I hope it's the MSR2 that I'm talking about. A lot of the different things in here. Now, let me talk about a couple things here that go with this. Let me find the pieces. Here we go. This is the this is going to be the device or the ceiling mount. So you have if you can buy this as an option off their website. There's actually 2 pieces that come with this. This is not ceiling mount. This is the gang box, single gang box mount. So there's the top, and they talk about on their website to be very careful with this. And there's the bottom. If you put it on the wrong way, you could damage the board because you're going to basically sandwich it on the board. The top of the board is where the dog is here, and you want it to face with the sensors outbound. So you're going to essentially put it on this way. And you can see here that these little leaves or whatever you want to call it come down over the board, and they don't go over top of anything else. They're designed to fit right inside that spot. And then you put the bottom one on here as well. And it slides on the same way. Let's get it in the right spot. If you do it wrong, you could break off some of the components in the board. That's what they want to caution you on. And then when you get it in here, now I'm going to remove the power real quick. I'm going to show you that I have a single gang box. This is a US based single gang box. Basically just take this and you put it inside the box like so. And then you have the ability to mount it behind a plate. And let me grab that plate for you. All right, so here's the plate, and you just set that on the, you set that, this would typically be recessed into the wall, just like any other one gang electrical box. And you just put that inside there, and you put this on, and you put it where you want it to go. Make sure you've got power for it. And then your sensor sits behind this plate, and because it's a radar-based sensor, it will actually go through the plate. This is plastic, so it'll go through this plate with no problem at all. And that's it. You can mount now your sensor flush to the wall, and you won't even know it's there, and it can do all this stuff that it needs to be able to sense your presence in the room. So that's a really neat feature of this. You can buy the kits done. You can buy these things to mount it, or likely you can print those yourself if you have a 3D printer. Now, the ceiling mount is pretty much the same thing. So the ceiling mount, this little plate comes off here, and these are little springs. You put them up in the ceiling. They recess up in there, and they kind of grab the ceiling and kind of hang up on the ceiling. And then there's a mount for this as well, for the ceiling mount. And it's the same kind of concept here. There's one that says top, so you put this on the top. Make sure you get it the correct way, which is that way. So it's on the top there. You put this on the bottom. And then that sits inside this box, or this enclosure, somehow. I'm not exactly sure how it stays in there, but it does go in the enclosure. And then you would just snap this plate on top of it, and you would just put it up in the ceiling. So all you would see is this essentially coming down from the ceiling, and your sensor sits behind it. Now you have to have power up in the ceiling, so that's a requirement. They have documentation on this. I need to see how this actually stays in there, because it looks like it's just in there by friction. And you just put this plate on there, and now you have a device in your ceiling. So 2 different ways to mount it. Really nice options that you can buy from their website directly to be able to mount this inconspicuously behind a wall plate in a single gang box or up in the ceiling where it's not visible to anybody, but it still does it. I personally would probably prefer the ceiling mount if I can get some sort of power up there. But then having something above your head in a room, that gives you the ability to really map those zones. I do have PoE capability on a box over there on the wall, but it's over in the corner, so where it would see would be different. It would probably pick up the other room out in a different area. One other thing that I'm going to show you real quick that came with this. This is something that I have a problem with my MSR2, and I really hope I'm saying that right. I've got an MSR1 and a 2. I think the 2 is the one I'm using for motion sensing. But this is the box. Let me just give you a top-down view. This is the box, of course, that the Pro-1 mounts in. You can see here that I have the MSR2 crammed underneath the television to hold it in place, because once you get it set for the zones and the movement, you want to make sure it doesn't move. And so I use this to be there. Anyway, so with this, I don't have to cram anything underneath, because they've got this little printed piece here that you just snap on like that. And then when you set it down, let's snap it on there. Once you set it down, and I've got it backwards. Let's try this. Maybe I have it backwards. There's a little notch down there. I think that's for the little cable or something. So let me just try this. The point is, as I fumble with this, is that you can put it in a stand and it'll sit there basically on your, on your desk or whatever, and just kind of sit there and point whatever right direction, versus where I've got it crammed underneath the TV. So again, little mount that comes with it that works with this case. So all in all, it's a very nice little a sensor in terms of the mounting options that you have for it now. You can put it in the ceiling, you can put it on the wall, you can stick it on your desk with the little bracket that comes with it, or the little stand that comes with it. So let's do a quick firmware change. So it goes from Wi-Fi to Ethernet, and I'll show you how that works. Remember, you have to be on something that can connect to the internet, because it does download the firmware update in real time when you do this. So let's go to the Home Assistant page where this is currently running. You can also do that via this page here as well, by dropping this down, choosing Ethernet, and clicking the firmware update button. I'm going to do it here. So let me go down to the firmware section, click on Ethernet, and it should, it says up to date, but you want to do the, press the button here to change it. So I'll click on that, and it should be changing it over to Ethernet. If we look at the logs, you can see now it's starting the update as connecting to Apollo Automation. It's going through the update process. So you will continue to watch this, and it took 8 seconds. Do that. It's rebooting right now. The thing that's going to happen is when you go from Ethernet or from Wi-Fi to Ethernet, depending on your network topology, you probably will end up on a different IP address. At least that's what happened in my case. Home Assistant should still see it, so you can still use it in Home Assistant even if you change the mode or the connection method. So when it's done, I'm going to go over here to the other IP address that's assigned to it. And it's now on the new IP address. You can see the firmware type is Ethernet, and it's now running on the Ethernet. It is also powered by the PoE socket. So I have a PoE switch. It's plugged into the PoE. It's getting its internet connectivity or network connectivity from the from the network port and being powered from the network port with no issues at all. You can also see here that it is on Ethernet for its type as well. So there you go. Moving it from Ethernet to or Wi-Fi to Ethernet is a super simple process as long as you have access to the internet from that device. As I said before, I'm going to probably make a separate video on tuning it. There are so many options for tuning this thing that I need to spend some time playing around with it a little bit more, but I did want to show you the device itself, show you some of the mounting options so you can get one and be ready to start playing with it. There is some discussion on the website as far as tuning this using the HLK radar tool. That's one option for doing that. There's also tuning it through Home Assistant using the Plotly YAML generator. So this is a component of or a tool available through Hacks. And I'm going to play with this. This is how I'm going to try to do it first and see how it works. It looks pretty neat because it generates a whole bunch of different things here. And we will just see how all that works. So stay tuned for that video coming up on how I've tuned my particular setup. And again, each environment you run it in will be different. You'll have to tune it slightly differently than I do it, but the tool should be the same if you use Plotly or something else that I'm showing you. All right, thanks for watching. That's going to do it for this video. If you're not a subscriber, please hit that subscribe button. The algorithm loves it. The algorithm loves those thumbs ups if you want to do that as well. Appreciate that. And for those that support me through Patreon and other means, thank you so much for that. It helps me continue to make these videos. Again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.